Hey everyone, welcome back to Gone Driving. My name is Rahul, and for this week's video, we've got the 2021 BMW 4 Series, the 430i to be specific. We'll be going over the exterior styling and the design of the car, the interior, and then going for a quick drive. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you want to see more content, make sure you smash the subscribe button. Also, I'd like to note that this video would not be possible without the help of Parkview BMW for providing me with the 4 Series today. If you're in the market for a new or a used BMW, make sure you hit up Parkview BMW, specifically Denver Kudo. I'll leave their information and their phone number down in the description below. BMW's two-door coupe, the 4 Series, is based off of BMW's entry-level sedan, the 3 Series. This one's supposed to be the more exciting, the more fun, the more cooler-looking car than the 3 Series. The 4 Series was completely redesigned for the 2021 model year with a brand new interior and a completely new design from the outside and, of course, the front grille, which we'll get to at a later point in the video. BMW finally took the time to completely redesign from the outside and inside in their somewhat entry-level coupe model. For the 2021 and 2022 model years, the 4 Series will be coming in two trims. That is the 430i and the M440i, the latter being the sporty and the faster one, with both trims being powered by BMW's all-wheel drive system, the xDrive. Mechanically, the BMW 4 Series and the 3 Series are essentially the same thing, but the design, it's a beautiful car from the outside, but it all starts with that controversial front grille. Everyone seems to be hitting on this front grille, saying that it's an eyesore, it doesn't look good at all, it's too big of a kidney grille, and saying that BMW designers were on crack or drugs when they made this grille. But you know what? I personally don't have an issue with it. Here's what I'll say is different. It's unique that it sets the 4 Series apart from not only other BMW models but other cars, period. As controversial as that grille gets, I would take that BMW made this grille into a marketing product, because now it's become a talking point for not just BMW drivers but even car enthusiasts like myself and you guys. In all fairness, the grille can be talked down upon as much as anyone wants to, but how I see it, I personally love that the kidney grille is the center of the focus of the car. It creates a very sporty and definitely a modern design to the front end of the car. Moving away from the front grille, we've got these beautiful headlights, which unfortunately these headlights specifically don't have the laser LEDs, but that can be optioned into this car, but they just look stunning without or with it. And then we've got these inlets here, which unfortunately are not real. They have no aerodynamic purpose, but they still look very, very nice. And we've got the camera right here for the 360 parking, which we'll get into later on. And overall, the front bumper just looks absolutely amazing. Moving on to the side of the car, we've got these beautiful 19-inch black double spoke rims with the M Sport brakes here, because this car is equipped with the optional M Sport package, as you can see from the branding right over here, the brakes here, and we'll see a couple other features for the M Sport package inside of the car. And moving on to the middle portion of the 4 Series, we can see here that we've got the C-pillar all the way far back, giving it some nice big doors. We've also got frameless windows, a very, very nice feature, as you can see right over here. I know it's a very classic feature in coupes, but I really like it. And then with the body lines, I love how far back they extend, giving it that sporty and that muscular look. Moving on to the back of the car, I feel like the blunders and the disaster that the BMW engineering team did at the front is rectified with the back of the car. I think it just looks super, super stunning. Starting off with these tail lights here, I love how they extend and go into the side of the car. And then we've got these beautiful dual exit exhausts here. Both of these are actually functional, which is really, really nice, as a lot of these cars today have only one functional exhaust, but with the 4 Series, you've got both of them working. And then on the sides here, we've got these really, really nice inlets here, but unfortunately they have no aerodynamic purpose to them, which I'm not really sure why BMW is doing if they have no purpose, but nonetheless, they add a really, really nice sporty element to it, so I'll take it. And now looking at the trunk, for a coupe, I mean, you can't really expect a lot of space, but nonetheless, it's definitely very deep. You know, it's good for your regular grocery haul. A couple of bags will definitely go in there. In terms of suitcases and going to the airport, I don't think this is the car for it, but you know what? That's what you get with a coupe. Interior of the 4 Series is supposed to be coherent with all the other BMW models that they've been producing in terms of their gauge clusters and their infotainment system. Nonetheless, we'll look at a couple different things in the 2021 model year, and we'll explore that. Am I a big fan of BMW using the same interiors in all of their models? Most likely not, because here's how I see it. If a person in the 7 Series gets to have the same interior as someone in the 3 Series, I don't think they'd be necessarily happy, or I don't think they would have their money most made out of. But at the same time, to play devil's advocate, if I was on BMW's side, here's what I would say. For a driver to go from one car to another, this makes it very, very easy, because the interior interface is exactly the same across all cars. So with the 4 Series, you've got your fully digital speedometer as soon as you enter the car, and another reservation that a lot of other car reviewers I've noticed express is the fact that the tachometers are upside down, meaning when you rev the car, they go from bottom to up as opposed to top to down. Since this is a 430i, which is the base trim, it's got the simpler, very minimal look gauge cluster, as opposed to the M440i, which would have an M badging and the actual M car in your gauge cluster. In terms of customizability, I really don't like the fact that even though this is a digital gauge cluster, you don't really get much options to customize. And what I mean by that is you've got your map here in the middle from your navigation, which you can't really change. You can't really make it fully take up the full gauge cluster. As opposed to some of the competitors, for example, the Audis and the Mercedes, you can have the map take up the full gauge cluster, and you can customize it with other things as well. Looking at the steering wheel, we've got the same exact steering wheel that all the other BMWs have. Unfortunate, but that's just how it is. Nonetheless, I love how you've got your entertainment controllers right over here on the right, very easy to read and very easy to access. You've got your cruise control buttons right over here. Then you've got your paddle shifters right in the back here, very decently sized, and they're pretty responsive, which we'll see later on when we go for a drive. And then now moving on to the center console area, we've got this very simple linear console that just extends right down to the middle here. For the buttons here, I feel like for a $55,000 coupe, the materials and the actual quality could be a little bit better in my personal opinion. I mean, you compare this with the X5 that I was in before that I reviewed, and you can clearly see the difference in terms of quality here. I mean, right over here, if you were to press the buttons, I can already see that it's a little more plasticky as opposed to the X5. Obviously, you've got your buttons right over here for your climate control. You've got your buttons right over here for your entertainment. You've got your knob for the volume, and then the screen right over here. It's a decently big screen, but for how much black space they have here, I'm surprised that they didn't take up the full screen. Nonetheless, it's very responsive. I love how easy it is to use. No complaints with the infotainment screen whatsoever. And then in terms of the buttons that control the center console here, we're starting off here on the left side. We've got the traction control button. We've got our 360 camera, which is really superior compared to the competitors. I really think it's good quality, and it's very useful. Then we've got your parking sensors. You can also do your backup assistant, automated parking, which we'll see later on. And then you've got your auto start stop button. You've got your engine start stop button right over here. Unfortunately, I'm not sure why BMW decided to phase out the button that used to be right over here and put it in the center console. But in terms of convenience, I think this is a much better place to put it. You've got your short little gear knob right over here. And then you've got your different driving modes, the Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro. Auto hold, which is again a very great feature, which actually the previous generation 4 Series did not have because they had the handbrakes. But now that all the new BMW 3 Series come with an electronic handbrake, the auto hold is standard. And also, speaking of other features in this car, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard in this car. You've got this nice, beautiful little navigation screen right over here, which shows traffic, radio, satellite radio, all that standard as well. Right here, you can control the safety features of the car, blind spot. You've got your frontal and rear collision warning systems, which are all actually standard, which is very nice. You've also got the piano black trim right over here, which is an optional feature for an extra $500. You've also got these black Vernasca leather seats with the blue stitching right over here, and the ambient lighting, which is a standard now in all BMW 4 Series. So that's a really nice touch by BMW. You've also got your wireless charging pad right over here. Unfortunately, a lot of the new cars are actually being phased out due to some chip issue or some malfunctioning thing. But nonetheless, I think this is a really nice feature. So while you can, might as well grab it, right? And in terms of seating, this is a coupe obviously, so 2 seats in the front are standard, and you've got your seats in the back here, 2 of them actually, which are decently spaced. Have a look inside. So in order to get into the back, what you do is you go right over here, you pull this little trigger, and then you wait for the seat to go forward, and then you can climb into the back. It's a bit of a time-consuming process in my opinion, but that's just how it is. In the back seat area here, for someone like myself who's 5'8", it's a decent amount of space. It's pretty snug. Keeps you pretty cozy as well, but for someone who's over 6 feet, I really don't think this is the best car in terms of the back seat area. For kids as well, it's perfect. You've also got your USB-C ports here. You've got your climate control buttons here. In terms of legroom, if I was to put this back right over here, definitely a little tight in my opinion, but again, this is a coupe and 2 seats should be what you're looking for more than anything else. In terms of pricing and options, the 430i does start off at $53,650 Canadian and can be equipped with a bunch of different options. With this one right here sitting at $63,295, you've got your premium enhanced package, which is an additional $4,900. You've got your Leatherette Dashboard, which costs you an additional $500. You've got the lumbar support removal. You've got piano black wood trims, which are an extra $500 as well. And you've got the black Vernasca leather, which I mentioned earlier, with the blue contrast stitching for an extra $1,500. All right, so currently in the 430i, and my initial thoughts on it is that it's definitely a sturdier and a harder driving car than a 3 Series, I would say, in terms of comfort and suspension. In terms of pickup and how it gets going, this is a 430i, so in terms of power, it's got 254 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque with an 8-speed transmission, and obviously you've got your turbos to help you as well, the twin turbos. But nonetheless, I feel like if you're looking for power, you're gonna have to go with the M440i, because that is really where you get the power and the stiffer handling and the sportiness in general. In terms of the initial throttle response, I feel like it is a little bit lagged and a little bit delayed, but again, this isn't an M-powered car, so the sport and the speed should not be your priority. This car is actually good for your day-to-day driving. You've got your minimal power, and it handles really well. I mean, it's got tight handling, that's for sure, I'll give it that. But in terms of being sharp and very laser focused or precise steering, I think you're going for the M440i or potentially an M4. All right, so we're just gonna put the car in sport mode to see how it handles and how it picks up here. I'm gonna floor it a little bit. Keep in mind, a lot of this audio is pumped in, but nonetheless, I mean, it's got a decent pickup when you put it in sport mode. Again, that shouldn't be your main priority when you're driving this car, because there are other options available. In terms of the overall experience of being here in the cabin, I personally don't have an issue with the gauge cluster. I know I mentioned before that it's not customizable, and you can't change things here and there, but personally speaking, you really just need your speedometer. You've got your map in the middle. It's not the biggest, obviously, but nonetheless, you've got all the information that you need for your day-to-day driving, and it's a very comfy and cozy driving experience. And in terms of the infotainment screen here, it's just as nice. It's very responsive, easy to use. You've got your Apple CarPlay. You can easily customize it as well. Not as much as obviously some of the other cars in other manufacturers. But I think it's oriented to be simple and easy to use, and I think BMW really was successful with that. All right, we're gonna floor it one more time here in sport mode. I mean, honestly speaking, it could be better, but I'm excited to try the M440i to see how that picks up in comparison to this. But still pretty good. In terms of the safety features and some of the other standard features in this car, the speakers are just great. You've got your blind spot monitoring systems in the right there. To my knowledge, I don't think they have any audio alerts. They just flash at you when obviously there's a car coming or there's a car in your blind spot. But compared to some of the other manufacturers, I feel like an audio alert of the blind spots would be kind of nice. For your day-to-day city driving, this car is definitely your best bet. I mean, your grocery hauler, your coffee runner, this is all in one. I mean, sure, it doesn't have the tightest handling or the most precision steering, but when you're driving in the city, you don't need that. Those things just become irrelevant. Those things are more important on the track, but when you're just doing your day-to-day errands, you don't really need anything too precise, or again, you don't need anything too fast of a car. But this is it. This is a good balance of it, and it's a coupe, obviously, so you've got that sporty look to it, and it just looks really nice from the outside more than anything else. All right, so currently going over a couple of potholes just to really get a feel of the suspension in this car. It doesn't have any optional air suspensions or any of those features like the X5 did, so you're gonna feel them. You can definitely feel them as it takes some of these bumps in the road here, and that's just the compromise you got to be willing to make in a car like this. Here are my final thoughts on the BMW 4 Series, the brand new one. If you can get past the front grille, obviously, trust me, this car, you can't go wrong with it, especially if you're looking for a fun coupe that looks really stunning. Again, don't worry about the grille. I think after a certain point you get used to it, just like I did, and I think it just takes time to do that. But overall, the interior experience is very comfortable. The cabin is very cozy. Your technology is just up top at the top tier. You've got everything that you need to make your life easier, your day-to-day trips easier. The car's got a decently good pickup, and you've got options. I mean, if you really want to spend that extra 10 to 15,000, you can get the M440i, which is a bigger, bulkier engine, and you get your power and your speed there. But for the average Joe who just needs this, you know, for their day-to-day driving, this car is just perfect. I mean, I don't see why you would go with anything else. But having said that, if you are in the market for this 4 Series specifically, or any other BMW in general, make sure you hit up Denver Kudo at Parkview BMW, because he can hook you up with almost any BMW that you're looking for.